Hey team, today I'm going to show you how to make this very simple to-do app. You can add a to-do, you can see your to-dos, and you can change the state of each to-do here with this checkbox. Very simple functionality, but it's a great example to explain how React works. So yeah, come along. All right, so first you're going to go to your terminal. The terminal's pretty much the best way for you to talk directly to your computer and memory. So you're going to make a directory called whatever you want, called it to do tutorial. And then I'm going to change my current directory to the one I just made. So here you can see I'm now in to do tutorial. And I'm going to run this command npx create next app at latest and put it in my current directory. npx, you can pretty much look up npm install on your computer, Mac, Windows, blah, blah, blah. And once you have npm, you can run this command in your terminal. Then it's going to ask you a series of steps. I said no to TypeScript. You can say yes if you want your code to be typed, has its pros and its cons. Yes to ESLint, yes to Tailwind, no to src directory, yes to app router, no to import alias. You can change any one of these based on your preferences. And it sets it up. And then here you can npm install. npm is basically Node Package Manager. Um, it it says that this app is going to have some packages. Please install them for me. I don't have to give you the packages every time, but I'm going to tell you which packages I use. So npm install installs all the packages needed for this React app and everything that we're going to use. So once it's installed, it did it pretty quickly. 139 packages. We're looking for funding. It's interesting. Um, then after that, we do npm run dev so that we can go to our local host 3000. This is saying that this app is running on the 3000 port. So we can look at it um, directly in our browser. And if you go to localhost 3000, this is the current app that we just installed and built. It's Next.js, get started by editing app page.js, save and see your changes instantly. Cool, deploy now, read our docs. So Next.js is basically a super great tool and abstraction on top of React. Um, but I really prefer it because it has a lot of really great built-in features and yeah, it isn't like super specific to React, but React is, the main piece of this component of this tutorial. So yeah, once you go to app and then page.js, you're in a JavaScript file, but after return, here is a bunch of HTML. So you can pretty much delete all of that, and then you can return whatever you want. Hello world in this div. So React is interesting because you are using JavaScript to control HTML and what HTML produces and do it in a very sophisticated and very very genius way. So if we go back to localhost 3000, you can see hello world. So once we go back, we can edit our file and start leveraging some tools that React gives us. So use client is something part of Next.js, not really important. But here we import useState from the React library. useState is basically a tool that we're going to use to, you know, use state. State is the memory that we're using for a bunch of our variables and whatnot in React. So for this basic to-do list, we're going to create a to-do list and set to-do list variables using the useState hook. So to-do list is going to hold the value for what the to-do list is. Set to-do list is going to let us mutate this variable value and state. So I just gave an example array of some objects, very simple objects. Each object has a name and to do. So name make bed, is it done? True. Name take shower, is it done? False. Name code, is it done? True. So this is basically our state. And we want to, display this in HTML. So how would you display a list in HTML? You should probably display each one in sequence. So given that this is an array, we can use JavaScript to traverse the array and display each element. So to-do list, we're using this variable up here. We're going to map each to-do item to some HTML. And the HTML is very basic. Just a div where the key is like the index of the array. So, this one will have a key of 1, 2, 3, or 0, 1, 2. And inside each value, it's going to be the to-do's name and the to-do done state. But we don't want to display true, false, true. We want to display something else. So to-do.done, if it's true, then say done. And if it's not, say not done. So very basic, but this is what it would look like. So make bed, done. Take shower, not done. Code, done. As you can see, this corresponds directly to the state that we have. So moving on, we're going to make this a little more interesting, a little more useful now. We're going to be able to change this state. So if we have a to-do list, we want to add to it. How do we add to a to-do list? What do we need to add to this? We're going to need a name to be able to create a new to-do list. So say I want to add eat breakfast to this. I would want to make a new object where the name is eat breakfast and done is false. So as you can see here, we did that. So we need a new variable for the new name that we want to add. So to do name is here, and set to do name is using the use state hook. It's going to start off empty because it first isn't going to have a value, the name that we want to add. And then we want a function that is going to do the work that to, one, add the to-do to the to-do list, and two, clear out the value for the to-do name that we just added. So set to-do list, we're using it in add to-do to take the current to-do list and then append another object. And the name is going to be the to-do name, and the value of done is going to be false because when we add a to-do, it's usually going to be false. So here is the old code where we list our to-dos, and right above it, we're going to add an input and a button HTML object. And these HTML objects are going to be zipped up to, our JavaScript amazing functions up here. So input is going to be type text. The value it's going to show is our to-do name. So first it's going to be empty. And then when we type into this input, when it's changing, set the value to what it changed to our internal value of to-do name. And this is class name. This is just to make it look a little pretty, easier on the eyes. And then button. Once we typed a bunch, our to-do name into our input, we are going to want to press a button to take that value and add it to our list. So on press of the button, go to add to do and then trigger that function. And this is more CSS, just the way it looks. And the button has about just looks like it'll have the name add. So this is what it looks like. So these were our original to-dos, and these are two to-dos that I added using the input value. I just typed in make bread, add, and then it showed up. So I put make bread again, and then add, and then it showed up underneath. When I pressed add, it took the value for to-do name that was saved because this input is smart enough to save that value into to-do name. Type, to-do name is populated. Press. Then when I press, add that to the list, and then reset the value. And it's ready for me to do that same thing again, which I did here. Yeah. So moving on, we want to make this more interesting by having these check marks to actually change the state. what good is it to show that something is done and not done on a to-do list if I can't mark off something on my to-do list? So we're going to need a checkbox, and we're going to need a way to change the state of each to-do. We're going to do that here. So this is the same as before, this is the same as before, this is the same as before, and we're going to have a function that does the work of changing the to-do. So handle to-do change takes in a name of a to-do, and then it finds that value. So if I pass in the value take shower, it's going to find that value. And the object is name take shower and done false. If it is false and I click on it, supposedly I want it to be done true. So we do that here. It basically says set to-do list, take the existing to-do list, and then map it. Mapping it means look at every value. At every value, I'm going to do something. I'm going to map it to something. Here, we take in that each value. So we're looking at the first value, and then t.name. If it's equal to the name that we gave, then we're going to do something to it. Otherwise, return it. So if we pass in take shower, we're going to look at the first value and say, okay, it doesn't look like that's what we care about, so just put it back in place. We looked at it, but put it back. Then we're going to look at the second value, name. Take shower is exactly what we're looking for. So since it is, we're going to take the existing value and then flip the done value. So take shower, done, false, click on it, it goes to done true. If it's done true and we click on it, it'll go to done false. Click, 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 it'll flip-flop based on this function. So yeah, and just to finish the map, we look at name code, it doesn't match, so we don't do anything to it, we return it. Now, this isn't great. This isn't a great function because if there's two values that have the same name, then it will change both values. But that is an exercise for you to, appreciate and like understand. So this is mostly the same except for this part. For each value, we're gonna have a name, and if it's done, show this. But we added this input. It's a checkbox, and it'll show the value of the current to-do's done state. And when we click it, it'll flip the done state for the to-do with a specific name. So do it all, add to-dos, code, take shower, and make bed. These are all done. They're done true. But if I, click take shower, it'll uncheck it because it went to the list, look for that to do, and untruified the Boolean value. So yeah, that's pretty much the entire example here for React. You learned how to define state, you learned how to change state, and you learned how to display state, and you learned how to make UI to trigger functions that change the state. That is a bunch of small tools that will let you do quite a lot. But there's quite a lot left in React to learn. But yeah, I hope this was useful for you to understand what goes into some of the web applications that use React are doing and what they needed to have for them to work properly. So yeah, thanks for watching.